Hare Krishna. So, welcome you all once again on our Bhagavad Gita discussion. We'll continue from chapter number 3 and verse number 9. So, we have been discussing Bhagavad Gita. Just give me 1 second. Okay. Yes, we have completed verse 9. We'll continue from there. Okay. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurve Namaha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So just a quick recap of what we have gone as of now till chapter 3. So we have seen in chapter 3 we have 5 sections, and the first section was Arjuna's confusion that I should renounce or I should work, because Krishna has, by the words of Krishna, Arjuna got a bit confused. So he thought to ask, if you think that the buddhi is better than karma, then why do you engage me in this fighting or ghastly warfare? So that's how Arjuna asks a question. And then the second section is where Krishna explains about Niskam Karma Yoga, and where Krishna told that Arjuna, actually working is much more better than renouncing everything. And then we have discussed in this section we have discovered that renouncing without purification, that make disturbances in a society. So Krishna says that it's your duty to fight the war first, and then later on we can actually renounce. And we have seen later on, once they have got the kingdom, when the time came, they all renounce everything as well. And Krishna taught in this section about this premature renunciation is not good, right? And then the third section speaks about the karma kanda to karma yoga. So Krishna is trying to elevate Arjuna's consciousness from karma kanda's activity, not just working, it's actually working with a desire to, working with a not having desire to enjoy the fruits, or and then offering it to Krishna. So that's Krishna's taking the next level. And then the fourth section of this chapter says about Niskam Karma Yoga, do perform your activity to set a right example in the society. And if you remember, in Krishna spoke to Arjuna in chapter 2, saying that if you go away from your warfare, if you don't fight this war, though you are in a thinking in the right way, that you are more compassionate towards your kinsmen and family relatives, everyone, but the opponent or other people, they won't take in that way. They will think that Arjuna is a coward. He don't have he don't want to fight, and he just went away like that, right? And the fifth section of Karma Yoga, chapter 3, which concludes Krishna by he says that the lust is the greatest enemy, and we need to conquer it, right? So let's go on to the sections. So we have completed sections 2 as of now. We have gone through verse number 9. We'll continue verse number 9 today again. This is again a very, very important verse where Krishna takes the elevation of Arjuna to next level, right? So let's see. We have read the verse last time. I will continue from there as well. This verse, text number 9 says, Yajna arthat karmano anyatra loko yam karma bandhanat tad artham karma kaunteya mukta sangha samachara. So Krishna is telling Arjuna that how can actually the work can be performed, or what is the highest way. He says, work done as a sacrifice for Vishnu has to be performed. So we should perform the work for the satisfaction of Vishnu, for the pleasure of Vishnu, for the pleasure of the Lord. And Krishna says, otherwise, work causes bondage in this material world. Therefore, O son of Kunti, perform your activities, perform your prescribed duties for his satisfaction, and in that way, you will always remain free from bondage. So we have been talking about this very long time as well, that this material world binds us because of one thing, because we have the desire to enjoy things, right? And we understood that if we could somehow or other break this bondage of karma bandhana, because we do work, then we get the fruit of the work, then we enjoy it. So once we enjoy it, we get binded to that. If we do the work, we get if we do bad work, we get bad reactions and we suffer. So how can we clean this bondage? So Krishna is explaining here that by working for the satisfaction of Vishnu, or working as a sacrifice for Vishnu, that doesn't bind us. What it says, Mukta Sangha Samachara. It actually it liberates us, right? And it makes us free from this bondage. So let's see how we can work for Krishna. So Krishna explained earlier that to Arjuna, that work with a detached mind. Don't think of enjoying the results. So duty has to be performed. Even in previous sections, we have understood that Krishna says that working is better for Arjuna than performing Jnana Yoga or renouncing these things. So work, even that's apply for us as well. We need to work. At the same time, we can work with an detachment attitude. And now Krishna will again, he's saying here that work or results, we should learn to offer it to him, or work as a sacrifice. So if you see all the sacrifices which are done, actually it's for the pleasure of Vishnu. So all the sacrifice what we do, even Krishna will tell going ahead that Bhoktaramagata Pasam Sharvaloka Maheshwaram. So Krishna is the actually enjoyer, proprietor, or controller, right? And all the sacrifice what we do, it goes towards Krishna. So when we do sacrifice doesn't only mean that we'll have some fire and then we'll put some oblation on that. Even our activities can be sacrificed. Even austerity, these are also sacrifice, right? So anything done by our mind, body, that can also be sacrificed. Like getting up early in the morning, that's a sacrifice, right? Eating only Krsna Prasadam, that's also a sacrifice. So in this way, we have to sacrifice for the pleasure of Lord Vishnu. Prabhupada starts with the purport saying that since one has to work even for the simple maintenance of the body, the prescribed duties for the particular social position and quality are so made that the purpose can be fulfilled. And Yajna means Lord Vishnu. Krishna is also called as Yajna Purusha. So Yajna means Lord Vishnu, or sacrificial performance. All sacrificial performance also are meant for the satisfaction of Lord Vishnu. So the Vedas enjoins Yajna Vai Vishnuha. In other words, the same purpose is served whether one performs prescribed yajnas or directly serves Lord Vishnu. So serving Lord Vishnu is also called as can be understood as doing yajna or tapasya. So Krishna consciousness is therefore performance of yajna as it is prescribed in this verse. So this Varnashrama institution also aims to satisfying Lord Vishnu, right? Varnashrama charavata purushena parah puman Vishnur aradhyaya. It from Vishnu Prabhupada quotes it. So therefore one has to work for the satisfaction of Vishnu, right? And let's see what it means basically, since everyone has to work in this world. So even earlier Krishna told that even to maintain our body we have to work. So that's why prescribed duty has to be performed. And when we perform these activities for the pleasure of Krishna, there is no bondage in that. Right? We may say it, let's see what Krishna says, that what a solution is basically to perform, to act for the pleasure of Krishna. And when Radhaswami Prabhu was explaining this nicely from the Acharyas, he says that the same chain that binds us, that becomes a garland or an ornament which enhance the beauty of our person. So the same activities, right? What the meaning is, we have to perform our activity. So when the same activity we perform for the pleasure of God, pleasure of Krishna, right, that same activity, it becomes a garland. Otherwise, it becomes a chain which binds us in this material world. So activity performed or action done for the pleasure of Krishna, that does not binds us. Right. And also we comes one more point here, that how can you understand that if you perform yajna, if you perform sacrifice by putting oblation on the fire, how does Krishna get his? Isn't it? It might be a question that, okay, I'm performing a yajna, then how did Krishna gets? So it's been described that this Havan Kund is actually the mouth of Krishna, and the fire is the tongue. So whatever you provide in that, it actually goes. So Radhashyam Prabhu explained this nicely. He says that, in this today's world, many people, they might not know that if I write an email and press an enter key here, the same content, the same text actually can reach to a person sitting in America, right, or somewhere else. So we might not know what going behind the scene, how there are servers are configured, how this the mail goes from one server to cache to other servers, how this email ID tally each other, and then it reaches the destination. We might not, even we do not bother as well what's happening. Just we know that because of technology, by writing an email, pressing an enter key, it actually goes to the destination. In the similar way, if we can create something in this material world, why can't Krishna accepts this sacrifice through a fire? And even all the fire is again energy of Krishna. So Bhumir, Apo, Anala, Vayu, these are the 5 and 8 things. In fact, these 5 things are the energy of Krishna. So as these are the energy of Krishna, just in this material world, just by writing an email, sitting at Glasgow, we can write an email by just pressing or enter. It can reach to India, to our friend, or wherever you want. In the similar way, just by performing yajna, it actually reaches to Lord Krishna. And that's why Krishna says, perform the sacrifice for me. Right. So work done as a sacrifice for Vishnu has to be performed. Right. And there was one more context. Shampur was giving an example, like what are the what do we say, yajnas, how it helps us to purify. So these yajnas, when we do, so yajna doesn't, I'll repeat, yajna doesn't only mean that we should do a fire sacrifice, we should invite the fire and put oblation. Yajna means it can be tapasya as well, or a donation, a charity, dana, tapa. This also comes as yajna, and these are meant for teaching us detachment. It takes us towards detachment, and we know that gradually we need to get detached from this material world, so that the ultimate goal is to detach from material world and attach ourselves to Krishna. So by performing yajnas, we can actually achieve those gradually. And why this sacrifice is actually, Krishna recommend that do sacrifice for the pleasure of me. And what does mean is, so Radhasampa was explaining that sacrifice is a plan actually of Lord to bring us near him. So what happened? He gives a nice example. He says that a mother cheats his children. Cheats means in the way she says, okay, you go to school first, or you do your homework, you study something, then I'll give you a chocolate. Right. So in that way, mother says that, okay, you do things, I'll give you chocolate. So the child he does the activity, he studies, he reads, or he goes to school just with an intention to get the chocolate. Okay, I'll complete my school and I'll come back and I'll have chocolate. And later on, the mother knows that eating so much chocolate is also not good. But gradually, when the child he goes toward high studies, he understands that I do not need any more chocolate. Chocolate is harmful, but the work I am doing, I'm going to schools or college, that's actually going to help me a lot in living in this society. Right? This is giving more knowledge to that. So in the initial days, the child doesn't know about the importance of going to school or studying. But later on, when he grows up, he understands the importance of that. In the similar way, the sacrifice, when we do sacrifice, and from the sacrifice we get something, some material bones we needed, we get it. Krishna gives, okay, take it. And gradually you understand that whatever we are getting from this yajna, whatever these metal things we are getting, these are all actually temporary. And then they surrender to Krishna and they want to get the higher taste. Right. So that's why yajna purifies us. Yajna takes us toward detachment, and yajna, it takes us towards Krishna gradually. Right? That's why Krishna is saying in this verse in text 9 that work done as a sacrifice for Vishnu has to be performed. So Arjuna is not going to do a fire sacrifice, fire yajna, sitting over, putting oblation. He's actually going to fight for the pleasure of Krishna as a sacrifice. Right. So Krishna is he's ordering, okay, you should perform these activities, you should perform your duties. So he'll perform for the pleasure of Krishna, and hence he will not get bound by this material world. So, and Krishna says, otherwise, work causes bondage. And we know that this bondage is actually the real root cause of being in this material world. Right. And let's see the next ones, where Krishna says, continues explaining the same thing, says that in the beginning of creation, the Lord of all creatures sent forth generation of men and demigods, along with sacrifices for Vishnu, and blessed them by saying, be thou happy by this yajna or sacrifice, because its performance will bestow upon you everything desirable for living happily and achieving liberation. So what it says basically that when we do sacrifice, it actually reaches to all the devatas, and they get pleased by sacrifices as well. So when they are pleased, they shower everything what we need in this material world. And if you remember, I think in Prithvi Maharaj, the past time seen in Srimad Bhagavatam, so Prithvi Maharaj actually chased Mother Earth, because Mother Earth was though capable but not providing all these necessities things in the kingdom. And then when Mother Earth was being caught by Prithvi Maharaj, and then Mother Earth says that the sacrifice is not happening, that's why I hold everything. And once all the sacrifices happen properly, Mother Earth flourished the kingdom very nicely. So in the similar way, if we do sacrifice for the pleasure of these devatas, and eventually Lord Vishnu get pleased, so we will also get things abundantly. And it's getting very difficult nowadays to get good amount of rain and other things. There are so many climatic problems happening. It's only because there is no proper sacrifice is happening for the pleasure of the Lord. And there, the cow, there's so much of cow killing happening and other things. Because of that, there is a difference we can see in the climate. Right? And Prabhupada says in the purpose that the material creation by the Lord creates the material creation by the Lord of creatures, Vishnu, is a chance offered to the all conditioned souls to come back home, back to Godhead. Right? All the living entities within this material creation are conditioned by material nature because of their forgetfulness of their relationship to Vishnu or Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So the Vedic principles are to help us understand this eternal relation, as it is stated in Bhagavad Gita, Vedecha Sarver Am Eva Vedyo. So the Lord says that the purpose of the Vedas is to understand Him. And in the Vedic hymns, it is said, Patim Vishwasva Atmaneshwaram. Therefore, the Lord of the living entity is the supreme personality of Godhead, Vishnu. And even Srimad Bhagavatam explains in 2.4.20, Srila Sukadeva Goswami describes the Lord as Pati in so many ways. What he says, Shriha Patir Yagya Patir Patir, Shreha Patir Yagya Pati Prajapati Dheyampati Lokapati Dharapati Patir Gatis Chandaka Vishnu Satwatam Prasidattam Me Bhagavan Satampati. So the Prajapati is Lord Vishnu, and he is the Lord of all living creatures, all worlds, and all beauties, and the protector of everyone. The Lord has created this material world to enable the conditioned souls to learn how to perform yajna, sacrifice, for a satisfaction of Vishnu, so that while in this material world they can live very comfortably without anxiety. And after finishing the present material body, they can enter into the kingdom of God. That is the whole program for the conditioned soul. So by performing of yajna, we living entity are actually, they gradually become Krishna consciousness, because it's basically enjoying things with regulation, or accepting that okay, something higher is there and let me ask from him, right? That's how we are in line. And there's one more context we can understand, that how just by performing these sacrifices we can be happy, we can live happily, right? So even I'll quote this example again from Rajasthan Prabhu. He was saying that a person goes to a doctor and he says, I have a pain in my wrist, and then doctor gave me medicine. Okay, you take this medicine. The person says that okay, do I need to crush this medicine and make a paste and put on my wrist so that it will cure? Doctor said, no, you have to just take it with water. And that this person asks again, so how does it happen that if I take this medicine with the water, my wrist get cured, or my pain in the wrist goes away? That's a mystery, isn't it? So, but we know very well that yes, by taking this medicine, this actually it goes into the body parts and it helps us healing this problem. In a similar way, when we do sacrifice for the Lord, it actually reaches to the Lord, and we get pleasure, we get satisfied as well, we get our things what we wanted, and gradually we get cured, means we get purified. A purification happens. And the best sacrifice for this Kali Yuga is, Prabhupada mentions in the last paragraph of this purport, it says, in the age of Kali, people who are endowed with sufficient intelligence will worship the Lord, who is accompanied by his associate, by performing Sankirtana Yajna. So Sankirtana, chanting of the holy name, is also an Yajna. Krishna Varnam Tisha Krishnam Sango Parshadam Sango Sango Panga Arshada Parshadam Yagne Sankirtana Prayar Jantihi Sumedasa. So in this age, this performance of Sankirtana Yajna is recommended. So other yajnas prescribed in this Vedic literature are not easy to perform in this age of Kali, right? But the Sankirtana Yajna is very easy and sublime for all purposes, as recommended by this even in Bhagavad Gita chapter 9 114. So what does that mean? Is Sankirtana Yajna is actually for everyone. We can perform it very easily. And I was hearing a small clip today in the morning. I think I've shared for a couple of you as well, that there are 4 yugas, Satya, Dwapara, Treta, and Kali. The performance, or the self-realization process in other ages are also recommend the chanting of the holy name in a different way. But in this Kali Yuga, we cannot perform those things nicely, like doing meditation or doing deity worship nicely, opulently, or performing a very grand or opulent fire sacrifice for the pleasure of Lord Vishnu. that becomes a bit very difficult in this Kali Yuga. And that's how the Sankirtana Yagya, chanting the holy name of the Lord, is the best yagya which purifies our heart gradually. Right. So that's how the solution is to do the activities for the pleasure of Lord, perform sacrifice for the pleasure of Lord, and the best sacrifice which we can do in this Kali Yuga is Sankirtana Yagya. So Yagya is sacrifice, and so as I said, sacrifice is not just offering things in a sacrificial fire. Any good deed performed desirelessly in the spirit of an offering to the God also becomes an yagya. Right. Again, yagya, it means what? To give up something for the higher cause, for the highest purpose. And the highest purpose is to please Lord Vishnu. Right. So that's text 10. And then Krishna continues that he explains about this process actually. When the devatas, they become pleased by sacrifices, you will also please. That we have discussed. So when we do sacrifice, the devata get pleased. So like, the devata of rain is Indra. So when Indra gets pleased, he actually is going to pour good amount of rain for us, and it will be helpful for everyone. And then by thus cooperation between men and devatas or demigod, the prosperity will reign for all. So by the cooperation between the devatas and the living entities, everyone will remain flourished. Right. And Prabhupada explains here about this, the devatas, who devatas are. He says that the devatas or the demigods are empowered administrator of the material affair. So even if you see in our current, constitutions, we have a prime minister, then we have so many other different ministers to take care of, maybe some for fire, some for railway, from finance, from so many other things, and there is a person designated to handle these things. In the similar way, Krishna, Supreme Controller, Supreme Personality of Godhead, he nominates and provides this devatas with a power to administrate these material affairs, like the air, sunlight, water. See, interestingly, the necessity things what we need in our life to be alive are all produced by Krishna only. We can't live without air, and we know that though we may advance in our science and technology, we can't produce air. The same goes with sunlight, same goes with water. Though we know, I think there was a nice talk, some funny talk is being said. So some people say there is a need of going to temple, right? And in the same context was says there what the need of drinking water. You can find hydrogen in the air, you can find oxygen in the air, just collide and make it water. Can we do that? No, right? So anyway, this air being provided by him, the water, that's the most necessary thing in our life, that's provided by him, the sunlight, the earth where we are living, though we are making a skyscraper and buildings on the earth, but who's provided this earth? We need to understand that. Just to manage small thing in this material world, we need some people to take care of. We need some people to see things how it's happening. Even to construct a building, there are so many workers, they work. Still there is some architect who actually sees all the things what's happening or not. There is a supervisor appointed to see things, is the proper people are working or not. So just imagine, to make the small things, we need people in an administrator level, we need them to see the things. Then what about this whole cosmos, giant, huge universe? Not just only one, there are unlimited of that, right? Who's doing that? So these are the devatas who are empowered by Krishna. They have given this they have given a service to take care of this. And as Prabhupada continues saying that, so these demigods are empowered administrator of material affairs. They supply air, light, water, and all other benedictions for maintaining the body and soul of every living entity is entrusted to the demigod. So whoever innumerable assistants in different parts of the body of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So basically, who are the assistants of the different parts of the body of the Lord, and their pleasure and displeasure are dependent on the performance of yajnas by we living entity. So when we perform these yajnas, these devatas, they get pleased, and eventually the Lord is as well get pleased, right? And Krishna says again in chapter 5 that he says bhoktaram yagatapasam sarvaloka mahesham. So all the yajnas are actually being performed. He is the one, the benefactor of that, all the yajnas. And as we read this purport in a previous one, that Krishna is Yajnapati. He is the chief purpose of all the yajnas. So Krishna is trying to explain Arjuna that perform for do your activity, do your work for the as a sacrifice, so that you perform sacrifice for the Lord. And even if you see, even when we perform yajnas, we chant the name of Lord, isn't it? We chant the name of Lord, and by putting all the obligations, we chant the name of the Lord by putting those. Okay, the next verse says, Stan bhogan hi o deva दास्यन्ते यज्ञ भावितः ते दत्तम ते दत्तन ते दत्तान अपराध्यायभ्यो यो भुंक्ते स्तेन एव सः. So this is a very important verse actually, where Krishna says that everyone is a thief. So in charge of these various necessities of life, the demigods, being satisfied the performance of the yajnas, will supply all necessities to you. But he who enjoys such gifts without offering them to the demigod in return is certainly a thief. So yo bhungte stena evasha. So stena means actually a thief. So who enjoys all these things, whatever we get, just a very basic understanding, right? Everyone has a mobile phone in this today's world, right? And everyone has to pay something to use the network. We need to pay bare minimal amount to use the network, to make a call, to use maybe WhatsApp or Facebook or whatever it is. And to use electricity, we need to pay a bill every month, right? To live in a house, we need to pay rent to the landlord, to the owner of the house. So just imagine if these all the landlords or our electricity supply and what this mobile network, they are all temporary controller. Right now they are controller, but they are temporary controller, and we have to pay them the bills every month. So what about which we are getting every second, like air, breathing, light? What to do about that? Are we not obliged to pay something to them? In one of the talk, very recent talk I was hearing, I'm not remembering from which it was, but it says, I think it's a person, I think from either France or Italy. He was suffering for COVID, and then he got cured by getting ventilator and then somehow other, and then he got a bill. And after seeing this bill, and then he says that I realized that how much I need to pay to the Supreme Lord. Though he didn't say about Krishna, but he said I realized that how much I need to pay to the one who is actually giving me all this till my life free of cost. Can you imagine it? So just for a couple of days, couple of hours, when we need ventilator, we need oxygen. In the COVID case, we need oxygens to keep our health nice. We need to pay a huge bill to the medical staff, to the doctors, right? To the hospital, I would say mainly, right? And in that case, just imagine we are breathing every second, every day till our life as of now, And do we not oblige to pay something to them? And that is sacrifice. That is sacrifice. And that's how Krishna says, he who enjoys such things and without offering them back to demigods in return, they are certainly a thief. So we are admitted to hospital. There's a huge list of a bill. We can't go out from the hospital. We have to pay the bill. Otherwise, we can't get out from that. But here we are living freely without even caring about that someone is giving all these things to us, right? And that's how Krishna is claiming that everyone is a thief. So that the point is, and all these necessary things what we need are actually provided by God to us. And the cycle, I'll explain one more thing here. Let me. Okay, that's then coming next. Yeah. Okay, we'll take one more verse. That's an important one, and let's try it out. So first, we understand here that somehow or other we are thief if we are not paying back to the devatas by doing sacrifice. And we understand that best sacrifice which we can do in this world is Sankirtana Yajna. So, and Prabhupada mentioned that the gross materialistic thieves have no ultimate goal of life. So even I read some more from Prabhupada. He says the aim of life is attained by performance of yajnas. If you forget the purpose of human life and simply take supplies from the agents of the Lord for sense gratification and become more and more entangled in this material existence, which is not the purpose of creation, certainly we will become thieves. And therefore, we are punished by the laws of material nature. A society of thieves can never be happy because they have no aim in life. The gross materialistic thieves have no ultimate goal of life. They are simply directed to sense gratification, nor do they have knowledge of how to perform yajna. So Lord Chaitanya, however, inaugurated the easiest performance of yajna, namely the Sankirtan yajna, which can be performed by anyone in the world who accept the principle of Krishna consciousness. Right. So that makes very clear that performance of yajna is actually for the higher cause. So we get purified. As we take the example of the kids and the mother gives some chocolate to study now, but later on this child realizes that yes, whatever I studied actually helped me a lot in my current position, right? So in that way, when we do sacrifice, we get something from Krishna, and it's at least good than becoming a theist, because at least we are doing something as per scripture. Scripture suggests that okay, you should do sacrifice and ask your father, ask your supreme father to get to the need, whatever you need, and then you enjoy it. So at least we are at least on the right track, and gradually we understand that whatever we are asking, and next day there's a more need of that, and we ask more, and then at the end we understand that this asking is not going to end. So let's end it and ask for something eternal, something superior, something higher than our everyday needs. Okay. And 13th verse, we'll try to go through this one as well. Verse number 312 says that we are all thieves, and verse number 13 explains more about our food. He says, Yajna sistashno shanto muchente sarva kilvishaha bhujante te to agam papa ye pachante atma karanat. So the devotees of the Lord are released from all kinds of sin because they eat food which is offered first for the sacrifice. Others who prepare food for personal sense enjoyments rarely eat only sin. Bhujante te to agam papa. So anyone who enjoy or eats or prepare food only for their own sense gratification, sense enjoyment, they are only eating sins. That's the word of Lord Sri Krishna in chapter 3, verse 13. And the devotees of the Lord, they are free from the sins. Why? Because they perform yajna. What is the yajna? They cook for the sacrifice, they cook for the pleasure of Lord, they offer it to Lord, and then it's sanctified by the Lord, and after that they eat it. So because there is no karma in that, and they are free from the sin. And our whole body, if you see, it actually built by our food only. By just eating the food, we grow. So food is very, very important thing. And when we understand this verse, so we should offer food to Krishna and then we eat it, right? So Krishna says, yajna sista sino shanta muchente sarva kilvesha bhujante te agam papam ye pachante atma karanat. So the one who is actually only preparing pachante, they are only preparing food for their own sense gratification, they are only eating sin. And anyone who perform yajnas by offering it to Lord. So in our Krishna consciousness movement, we always offer food to Krishna, and then as we offer food to Krishna, we only prepare food which are acceptable by Krishna, right? Like patram pushpam phalam toyam. These are the things Krishna accepts, and we prepare food with all the varieties of vegetables and offer it to Krishna, and then we accept it as a prasadam. So prasadam means there is a very nice acronym for in India. It says prasada, 3 word. It says Prabhu ke sakshat darshan. So just by seeing prasad, we can actually we can see Krishna in that. We can honor it. We don't eat food. We honor prasad because that's been given to us by Krishna. And I'll read this paragraph or part by Prabhupada, and then we'll close today. Prabhupada says, the devotees of the Supreme Lord, or the persons who are in Krishna consciousness, they are called Santa. Santa, they are always in love with the Lord, and it is described in Brahma Samhita 5.38, Premanjana Churita Bhakti Vilochanena, Shanta Sadeva Hridayeshu Vilokayanti. The Santas, being always in the compact of love with Supreme Personality of Godhead, Govinda, the giver of all pleasure, or Mukunda, the giver of liberation, or Krishna, the all attractive person, cannot accept anything without first offer it to Supreme Person. Right. So the person who are in love with Krishna, they accept only things which are offered to Supreme Person. And therefore, such devotees always perform yajna in different modes of devotional service, such as Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, Archanam, Vandanam, etc. And these performance of yajnas keep them always aloof from all kinds of contamination of sinful association in the material world. Others who prepare food for the self or sense gratification are not only thieves, but also the eaters of all kinds of sin. So how can a person be happy if he is both a thief and a sinful? It is not possible. Therefore, in order for people to become happy in all respects, they must be taught to perform the easy process of Sankirtana Yajna in full Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, there can be no peace or happiness in the world. There's a nice purport by Prabhupada, isn't it? How can we be happy? We are all searching for happiness, but the solution is how can we be happy? So by performing yajnas for Krishna, we can happy. And Krishna is teaching the same to Arjuna, that perform your duty, work a duty for as a sacrifice to Vishnu. Right. So I think we'll stop here today. I thought to go till 16 verse, but we'll stop it here. And so I'll just quickly recap what we have understood today. So Krishna is advising Arjuna to perform his work as a sacrifice to Lord Vishnu. And also then Krishna explains about more that this creation happens, and there are the devatas who are actually given very, very powerful position to control all these material affairs. And this, as a living entity, we are also obliged to do yajna, to do sacrifice toward the devatas. And sacrifice only doesn't mean to do fire sacrifice or put obulation on the fire. It can also be tapasya or dana or yajna. It can be and the best one in this Kali Yuga is Sankirtana Yajna, which is inaugurated by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself. That's chanting of holy name, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And also Krishna explains about by performing yajna, there is a nice tuning happens between the devatas and the living entity. So the devatas provides all the necessary things to living entities, and they can live peacefully. And gradually it purified the person as well. And we understand that at the end we will actually somehow or other come to the point of Krishna consciousness, where we'll perform sacrifice only for the pleasure of Vishnu. Right. And the last two verses where we discuss, the Krishna says that whatever we get, and when we do not offer it back something, we are actually like a thief. And the last verse is the one who is cooking food only for his own sense gratification. They are only eating sins. And when we offer it to Krishna for the pleasure of Krishna, and then we eat it, it becomes there is no reaction, and it's all sinless. Right. Any questions or any thought on this today's discussion? Okay, so I think all good now. Then we'll continue from text 14 on Monday to the time. Hare Krishna. Granth Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki
Jai.
Prabhupada ki
Jai.
Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki
Jai.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.